Okay. Hello everybody, if you guys are new to this channel, my name is Chris. If you guys are subscribed to this channel, you guys are welcome back. But I want to say welcome back. You know, it's been a long time, never filmed, been pretty busy with school. So, as you guys know, if you guys have seen it in my community tab, which I have uploaded a music composition, which I just screen record this video of Cubase, just seeing my workflow to see how it really looks like. So I was doing like a concept for like the future over the horizon, because you see like every year Samsung brings like a song which is the over the horizon, but they use like a different types of themes. But like the 2018 and 2019, they're really good soundings. I did like it so much. I did like both the 2018 and 2019 Over the Horizon. It's so much orchestral and it relates to what it sounds like. But this one, I just want to make a concept of myself of making a 2020 Over the Horizon. But I want to know if Samsung might like that. But this is just making this composition to see if we can be able to suggest for this type of music that Samsung makes with these kinds of ringtones and the type of themes with the Over the Horizon. So if you guys seen my composition, before we go over everything on how I did it, make sure you watch my video on the top right hand corner, which is a card. I will put a card on the top right hand corner so you can check out the composition. It is just me playing through the music without me talking about it. It's on the CG6 Entertainment channel, not on my main channel, but on my main channel. I'm just gonna talk about this video, talk about how I go over it, the plugins. I know I just put plugins and stuff without talking. It's just the music going through. But I know the only downside is the CPU hiccups is when it fills up all the way to 100%. I know that happens, not just only me, but other composers, but it is what it is. So let's go over. So we started off with the strings and the piano. So we started in B flat major, so I just put myself a key signature, which is a marker where I can put anything, but I just named it as a key signature, so that way I want to know which key am I at, because with this one I want to switch the key signature to D flat major. And then I went back to B flat minor, but it was a 6, or in the D flat major, I think this is a 6th scale degree, but I just put that there in that key. But I will definitely remove that, because right now we just put D flat major. When I pivot it into I think it's an E flat inverted chord, and we switch the time signature to 4/4 as well, so don't forget that. And we did change some tempo as well to around 90 beats per minute and 4/4 time. So we started off with the soft piano and some strings. We started with the string bass, low strings, which we use a Vienna plugin. We use the Symphonic Library plugin, which is the Vienna Synchron player, and we use the sustain. And of course I had to EQ because we hear some hollows with the strings, of course I want to slur the piano to make it sound a lot smoother, because we just don't want to hear like the piano sounding like playing just in one note or staccato or something like that. Alright, so with the piano we added some reverb, but we'll get back to the strings later. We used the Helium Sonic SC3, just a stock plugin that we use in Cubase, and of course with the piano we did lower it a little bit on the EQ, so that way we don't want to make it too bright. And I did boost it a little bit at the bass, but we want to make sure we don't hear any thumping sound. Just like when you play the acoustic guitar and you play one note and you hear like a hollow or thump sound, I think you need to filter down the EQ. So with this, I use my, the typing keyboard for the piano at this time because I don't have a MIDI keyboard or a MIDI controller. But we use a reverb. So let me go ahead and pull out the effects here, which is the inserts. We use the Roomworks SC. We're just making it sound like really much brighter and much smooth, cinematic and everything like that. I just want to know how it really sounds like. And of course we added some chords. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get back to the low strings. The low strings, we did some tweaking on the equalizer. As you can see, it's because of the, the low strings. When you hear something hollow, I just wanted to automate that. So that way, because making it sound hollow, it's not going to sound that great and it will clip or distort. Okay, so Cubase, I did switch, by the way, as I don't use FL Studio anymore. So let me go ahead and bring this guy right here. But I would love to record that. Yeah, as you can see, I automate that. So I want to write that. I want to keep going doing that. Okay. Yeah, because when the melodies are coming, yeah, there's an issue. Yeah, because when I switch the note on the low strings, this is why I need to EQ some of the time on that double bass or the low strings. And then we have some like booming drums and stuff. So let's hear it. So it's in a cinematic percussion. Of course, it's this, by the way. It is just to start the building up, Dun 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 dun. We use the kick to sound like a boomy. Not too hard, not too soft. Just a small, deep boom sub. Not like a super action movie. And we use the Rim L. I don't think we need to EQ that, but in case if we need to make it sound a little bit perfect or sound a little bit brighter, and we need to compress it, it looks like we have to. Yeah, but when it comes out with when we start like going big and stuff, we will talk about that. And of course, I add the electric bass. Well, I have an electric bass I do have my electric bass. Hopefully, I would need an audio interface so I can plug it in and tweak it, because I think Cubase has a virtual amp, and I did EQ as well. Well, since it includes a bass amp, I think that's pretty much needs a little bit of a reverb. But do you think if I would add a reverb? Let's add some Roomworks. Because sometimes if we over reverb it, it's gonna clip. Of course, the reason why I try to tweak this, in the EQ, is because we don't want to go too much bassy on the piece. Because if we leave it nothing, it will clip. It's gonna overpower other instruments. But let's go ahead and go back to here. Because if we leave it, it's gonna race up. Yeah, because I want to lower it a little bit. Because this is just to make it sound like really much. There we go. But I would definitely save that. Of course, for strings, I want to do some staccato on that one. I want to arpeggiate in B flat major. Yeah, it's in B flat major. But for the arpeggiating, I think this is the second inversion, which is B flat major over F. Of course, Cubase hasn't included the included sheet music editor, the notation score editor. I know it's a really good thing to use. If I wanted to use staccato, I think this could make some changes. But I would love to make it sound a little bit brighter, like chun, 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 chun. But I would switch, for example, if I have the high strings on here. Where's my guy? This should not be muted, but it's with my MIDI that I linked to this plugin. But I should have used the staccato in this one. So let me go ahead and go for this. Yeah, because I have the fast attack most of the time. But what I'm gonna do is when we start doing like all the big things, I would bring the fast attack. But this is a G7 and this is A6. So how it works with all of these, with the articulations, is if you're like in Cubase, it's pretty much different with all the numbers on the keyboard, but this is for example G6. Because if I press a key, you can see how it's going to change with the articulations. So let me bring this guy out here. Since I'm controlling it. Yeah, so I'm on C6. But in Synchron Player, it just says C7. But in Cubase, it's C6. But I wonder why middle C is C3 in a DAW, which is supposed to be C4. Like middle C has to be C4, not C3. So let me go ahead and add this guy right here. And let me put a sustain, which is in G sharp. So I'm going to open the grid, which it will sound a lot better. Of course, I would need some volume with this one, by the way, and automate that. Hold up a second. Yeah, hold up. Yeah, it's in the sustain, so let me go ahead and lower that note to G. Let's bring up this. Come on. Cancel. Because I want to sound like more great. Much better. I love that. But I would need to automate on that violence, by the way. So let's bring up that mixer. Bring up that mixer. Yeah, so I would need some tweaking with this one. So let me go ahead and press W. Okay, there it is. Okay, so we're on measure 7, high strings. 2, 3. Yeah, for this one, when we go to the bum ba da da dun dun, then it becomes a fast attack or a sustain. Do you guys think sustain sounds good, or do you think fast attack sounds good? So let's go ahead and open this plugin up. So I want to make sure I could see that, because without it, I don't know where I'm going to be at. So do you think sustain will work? Well, let's go ahead and get this guy right here. I think this is, yeah, it's G sharp. This is for Sondo, but let's bring this. Now this is fast attack. But let's see how it sounds like for all the piece that we worked on. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring measure 7. Looks like it needs some more reverb. Wonder what's going on here. Yeah, I think this is something by accident, which I think this doesn't belong here. Alright, let's go ahead and go back to measure 7. I think it needs more reverb with that. Let me bring the Bright Hall. Do you think Bright Viennese Hall? Let me lower a little bit of that with the, I think I overpowered the expression. So let me go ahead and, I have a pencil with me. There's a pencil icon. Okay, so where are we? Okay, want to make sure the crescendo. As you guys know, even though if I use the controllers, when I change the expression, it's gonna stay the same until you go back to the same measure where you were, because that's where the measure comes with it. I mean, I gotta erase it a little bit with that expression. Not too much. Yeah, the issue is with this part of the piece, I think the cinematic drums is overpowering too much. So let's go ahead and... Okay, let's go ahead and bring the cinematic percussion, because that one's overpowering. But I would record a little bit with the mixer on the high strings. I want to make sure that it's not clipping. That's the most important thing. Yeah, the choir, I would have to lower that a little bit because, you know, for the background instruments, we do not want it to overpower. So let's bring the choir. Okay, where's the choir, guys? We're going into the more bigger parts. So we're gonna start going into the bigger parts, which is in measure 41, and that's where choir comes in. So yeah, so I would need to lower that a little bit of it. So let me go ahead and go back to where the choir broom comes in. Auxiliary, choir, there it is. Let me go ahead and pre-record it. I do have it at wood widths by accident, but I will change that because I don't think we added too much wood widths. Neither the brass. Brass doesn't belong here. Like, it's supposed to be lower. I don't want it to do that. You know? And let me see where the choir comes back. Or the choir's coming back on I think it's on measure 65. There we go. We wanted more details with that. I know it's recorded. I know I screen record this composition, but it took so much time to do with all of these things, you know? So let's go ahead and unsolo everything and let's see how it's going. You know what? Let's go back to measure 7. That's much better with that. It's like a drone, isn't it? Here it comes. I don't see the view meter going up more than 0. But that happens. Let me lower a little bit of the cinematic percussion. So let me go ahead and go back to this one. Don't worry about the high strings, because that one's staccato. Here's the big one. The higher octave on the melody. I added a little bit higher octave on the piano to make it sound more brighter, more beautiful. You know what I mean. So let's go to the piano. I went to a higher octave. I want to do that melody 2 times, so I subdivided that part. Of course, this note belongs into that bass note, unfortunately. But, you know, if I write it in Sibelius, it's something different. And then here comes with D flat major. So yeah, so it's in E flat, so we wanted to pivot it to E flat, and then it comes with A flat 7, and it goes to D flat. As of now on, D flat becomes a 1. Instead of, the B flat major that borrows the chord in flat 3 or 3 chord in the B flat minor. So it's E flat, but it pivots. So since we're in B flat, it is E flat, which is a 4. So it's going to pivot that into like a 2 chord. Yeah, because in D flat major, the E flat major chord is a second scale degree or a supertonic scale degree in D flat major. So hopefully in the future, in the CG6 entertainment video, I might talk about some music theory, and we can talk about common chord modulations on the CG6 entertainment channel. So hopefully you guys can stay in tune. So here is where the pivot comes. Here's E flat and E flat. But it's great to invert that. Alright? Yeah, so apparently right now, since it's E flat modulated, or it's pivoted in E flat major over G. So here's a question for you. So this chord is E flat major over G, so it is inverted. What Roman numeral is in B flat major? The answer is 4/6. So you see it on the screen, it is a 4/6 chord. But what it's going to pivot in, so since we're going to pivot in E flat, what scale degree is in D flat major when you're going to pivot? Alright, so here's the solving thing. So since we're going to pivot that, it could be a 2/6 chord, which I think it's part of pretty much of a chromatic median. Alright, so we're right now in the second part of this music. So now let's go ahead and go back to the big melody, to the big part. The string keeps going. So when we start pivoting, to D flat major, I wanted to add something so that we want to keep audiences going. I know the CPU just loves to pause and freeze. Don't worry about the stutter that happens. I wanted to add a retard on it so we can start slowing down, and I was thinking about adding a fermata on that. And then we start going to D flat major, because we wanted to make it sound so cool, not just having just only one key, one thing, making it boring. And of course we did put some suspended cymbal, by the way. And of course we still use the synchron player, which is percussion. They're all the menus around here. So we will use a lot of auxiliary percussion when we get to D flat major. But what reminds me with that is, you know, the time up symbol, you know, the time up music when it goes to the chime and stuff, but I will show it to you on the screen. You know, with that times up thingy. Let me show it to you really quick. Okay, so I know since I came back, so you guys can listen to that time up sound. You know, that chime. I really like that one, so I want to do something with that with Over the Horizon. So here's how it sounds like. So I know since I pivoted to, you know, E flat over G, a 4/6, and pivoting to a 2/6 chord, and I retard it, I want to do something like that. But apparently I separated with that percussion type, but you know, since it doesn't have a lot of percussion menus, so we use Sonic for this one. So we can add like more type of percussion, so we can sound a little bit more. So in Sonic we use that with more aux percussion, which just has a lot of bongos, triangles, cymbals, drums, everything in the percussion, not just only the drum set. So let me go ahead and mute that. And of course the claw bass are separate, you know, which I didn't include that. So let me go ahead and aux solo it. Looks like it doesn't want to work, but it's supposed to sound. Alright, I wonder what's coming in. Yeah, it's in the auxiliary percussion one. Yeah, it's in the auxiliary percussion, which I linked it to a MIDI thingy, you know, to that MIDI channel. I wanted to sound like that on the time up, just making it sound more similar on a time up. And of course, I want to add a reverb on it, because without a reverb, it's not gonna sound great. You know, we don't want it to sound dry, because sounding without a reverb, it's gonna be like a confusing type. It's gonna sound pretty confusing, you know, without the reverb. So I want to add a reverb. But what we did is, instead of adding an effects plugin in here, we just used what includes in Sonic SC3. So let me play it for you. We include a shaker, and we added the bongo drums. I think I like it like that. I'm not sure if I would compress that, but you don't need a compressor with this one. And it's gonna keep going, but with this part we added a freaking, what's it called? We added a sleigh bells. You know, I really want to add that, because that's gonna sound a lot more bright. You know, people think about Christmas and holidays, December. I want to add a sleigh bells on it. When we start going big again, which it's gonna be in B flat major, or a 6th scale degree chord on the scale of D flat major. So let me show you right now how it sounds like. But let me go back to like a few measures before we start going to D flat. There we go. You can see how it sounds like. Yes, apparently it sounds great. It's really great, you know, I really love how it sounds like. But I want to go to the hard rain and the clavis very soon. Yeah, I want to add the rain effects, just to make it sound a little bit more like a forest. You know, like the rainforest and everything like that. you're at the jungle and you're just gonna have fun exploring. So let's go ahead and solo that. I use like a Pro sound effects plugin, and I use a reference tool to make it sound more wet. And I would crossfade it as well. I want to make it sound wet. I don't want it to sound like just like real rain. I want it to sound like it's sizzling. You know the sizzling sound, right? I think what Hollywood does with sound design is they use something, like when you're trying to fry up the bacon and then you just record it with a microphone while it's cooking the bacon. And what you do is while it's recording, they just gonna make the sound of a bacon. So once it's done with that, they bring out the frying bacon sound, and then they add some effects, and then they add like effects and other things to make it sound like an actual rain. So I like how it sounds like it. No thunder, no anything, because I don't want any thunder sound. Yeah, so this is what it is, and then of course I added a Cubase with that one. The reason why I did this is because I wanted to delay it. I want to add a delay on this one, which is like this. So we use a model delay with a reverb, which is Revelation. We use a small reverb, not like a big reverb. 22% on the mix, 41%. Want to make sure the low cut is not percent. And the room size 62, main time is 60, because I'm pretty much good with that. So here's how it sounds like. And of course I want to notch that so that way it doesn't go too hollow or sound pretty much loud. And I think this was at default, but we changed it to an eighth note, which is like a dotted eighth note. 50% feedback, dry wet 50%. I want to leave it that. I think it's much perfect. And here's how it sounds like for the rest of them. Isn't that really cool? Very nice, very adorable. With rain sounds and everything. I will keep the rain going until we start doing the build-up. I think it's a lot better when we do the build-up and stuff. I would fade it out, like for example like this. Because without rain, because we don't want to have rain, we want to keep the rain going until the build-up comes in. Here comes the build-up, and now it's the big part. Looks like I don't think what happened with the low strings because it's supposed to be linked to the Vienna Symphonic. Of course, the strings is going a little bit more crazy. So let's add a little bit, all of the strings. So for the low strings, we will brace it up. Yeah, because I know we left it high because we did some tweakings and stuff. Yeah, as you can see the changes and stuff with that. Because we want to make sure that the bass is percent, because hopefully I would EQ that, because you don't want to make sure it doesn't overpower. Alright. Okay, so I want to do that because you don't want to. I don't want to ditch the bass. So with the strings, sounds really good. I added like really powerful chords. The violas and violins, they all go through. Of course, you can hear some inverted chords. Well, if you can hear a B flat minor 7, by the way. So let me turn on the loop. I don't know what's doing here. So let me go ahead and go to the violins. I know I did this in 4 parts, by the way. In 4 and this one. This one is a D flat major 7. And this one is D flat. No, I think I'm wrong. Yeah, this is a B flat major, no, B flat minor over D flat. Yeah, this is like a 1/6. Yeah, it's a 1/6. And it is D flat major 7th. So since it's a B flat major over D flat, I think in a key of D flat major, that could be a 6/6 chord. Let me show you the Roman numeral. All right, a 6/6 chord with this one. And here's another inverted chord. So what chord is that? So the answer is, it's G flat major. G flat major, which it is a 4/6. Chord. And then we come back, and then I want to add a little bit more octave on the violins. That's just a 6 chord. Ooh, this one. That could be a 5 chord, by the way. This one could be a 5 chord. But it is an A flat major, but it's over E flat. But what kind of a chord is that? What kind of a chord is that in Roman numerals? It is A flat over E flat. How do you spell that in a Roman numeral? Which is A flat in the key of D flat major, which I think is a 5/6/4 chord. But with the 6th chord and second inversion chords, there are like types of it which they're cadential, pedal, and passing. I will talk about that in the future with the music theory and stuff. So let's go ahead and keep going. I wanted to borrow that chord to a G flat major, which yeah, it's G flat major over A. So I think this is a first inversion of that, so that could be, which you know the chord in D flat major is 4, but it is borrowed. I think it's, never mind. I think that could be a 4. It's a 4 chord, but it's a minor, by the way, and it's borrowed. So that could be a lowercase 4/6 chord. The reason why I did that is because I just wanted to end that with that chord. And it ended it with a 5 chord to a 1. Alright, so let's go ahead and check everything. I did that minor on purpose, but that's how it is. You know, it's so beautiful. You know, I love how it sounds like, because, you know, composers can do whatever they want with the kind of piece to see how they sound like and everything. But you guys are more than welcome to bring some improvements and stuff, what you need to do, what you guys want me to tweak it in. I will try my best to do a lot of things as best I can with these kinds of projects, so that way you guys could be able to help me and make things better. You know. Alright, so let's go ahead and go back. Well, of course, we use all the, all these cinematic percussions. But let me bring the group agent right here. And we use the reverb. I think this is something else. There we go. We use a large live stage B on reverence. Well, depending, I know I put SR plugin, which that is for surround. And I have to lower a little bit on the low frequency, so that way it doesn't power through, or doesn't get louder or clip on or distort the piece. So when we download it and make it on live, because we want to make sure that it sounds good, it doesn't clip on me. Alright? I think it's already been compressed here. I was thinking about adding a piano on this one because we hear less bassy. Well, let's try that. Let's see how it sounds like. Well, I could hear %, but I would love to hear the piano substituting the electric bass, but I want to make sure it doesn't go power through. But how would it sound like if we add a bass on it, or electric bass? So let me go ahead and get this guy here. But you want to make sure to watch out that it doesn't clip. Since it's out of range. But I think the piano would sound great as well. Because if I octave this, it's gonna be, the bass is gonna be out of the range. Because you know, a double bass has 4 strings, and it only goes to E. Yeah, so it goes to right here. You know, it cannot go lower than that. So this is why we have, because if I go B flat, it's gonna sound like, nothing. You know, you just hear like almost like a helicopter sound. You know, like a helicopter or a chopper. You know, we don't want it to sound like that. You don't want the piece to sound like that because bass can't go way too low. But you heard an octave bass. It goes way out of our hearing range of a human frequency. And it's way too low. But I was thinking adding an A flat on it. Yeah, of course we left it too loud, so you would be able to notice the piano. So let's try to lower it. Let's add the same thing with the electric or the double bass, because I think it's better to add an A flat on the 4th measure or the 4th beat of the measure, just to make sure that it makes sense with that song. It looks like I accidentally deleted the piano parts. So let me go ahead and bring it back. You know, I didn't notice that it deleted it itself. You know, which I hate that. Alright. And it's a perfect 5th. But when I hear the melody, you could barely hear. You could pretty much notice that it's in D flat major 7th chord, which you can hear like it's, you know, the D flat major 7, which is D flat, F, A flat, and C. Yeah, you notice the D flat major 7. And I want to end that with a whole notes. Like I want to let the piano sustain all the way to the end of the measure. Do you think it's if I add like a perfect 5th on it? I think the chord, I want to lower that. I want to lower the chord. Let's do that. There we go. Of course, the strings go louder, but I want to do some swelling with that one. So let's go back. Of course, I added the virtual electric or virtual acoustic guitar. Of course, I tweaked some EQs to, so that way we don't want any hollow coming in. You know, like a thumping when every time you plug a string in one note, you hear like a thump on the wood of the guitar. I wanted to filter that and get rid of that thumping sounds and just only want to hear the string and not just the the hitting of the wood. You know what I mean. Yeah, so because if I left it like flat, you hear it thumping. But what if I'm not sure if I could turn it off, but in Cubase, let me go ahead and try it to see if I could. Okay, so here's how it sounds like when it's bypassed. You hear the thumping, but now with the filtering on the EQ, much of a difference. You know why? Because with the thumping, it's not pretty great, So you have to EQ that for the guitar. When the guitar goes like in one melody, which is when it just goes into like a melody, just hitting one per note, just only one note per string. The guitar is not doing chords and stuff, just the melody. Bum ba da bum ba bum. So I want to get rid of the thumping sound, but if I add compression, or if I add a compressor, it would sound worse. But I think I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah, and of course, like when a guitar is doing chords, you gotta EQ a lot more, so that way it doesn't make any hollow sound and stuff. And of course, I tweaked it on the around 1800 hertz on the frequency, and of course I want to cut some high pass on it or low pass, whatever. Yeah, it's a low pass filter on the number 4, which I want to cut out the highs a little bit because we don't want too much of a treble. So now let's hear it with and without it. Let me open up the settings here, the channel strip. Let's see how it sounds like without it, the EQ. And with the EQ, and I want to make sure that I slur it, because slurring is better than just going like every note and just pausing it. So layout guitar. But I would love to slur everything, by the way. Let me close that because it's going to affect that. But if I want to do that, I want to add a slur on this. How do I add a slur on that? Expression max, note symbols. This is the fall. Slur. I want to slur all the way. Oops. I want to slur everything. Let me get this guy right here. These are the ties. Slurs are different, so I want to put a phrase mark on that part so that we can slur through. Alright, so now let's bring up the big part on Measure 65. And transition it with the cymbals, or the suspended cymbal. And it's over. And that's the end of the song. So with the suspended cymbal, we want to transition that. Alright. I want to check if there's any more details. So I think this is just an overview of this video. But for this one, I would have changed something because I know since this is not a woodwind, but pretty much I didn't add a woodwind at all because I think this is just choir. So let me go ahead and rename that. Yeah, because I've been investigating through all the instruments to see what it will sound like with our future concept of the Samsung Over the Horizon. We just want to make it just for fun and everything. So if you guys have any comments or anything, you guys let me know. Chris is here to be really nice to you guys, and I love commenting and responding to your comments. I will try my best as I can. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I know it's very long just to go over everything. So I hope that everybody is having a wonderful, happy holidays.